Sponsored by JMR Rentals, jmrny.com.
We are the union, the mighty, mighty union.
What do we want?
Contract.
When do we want it?
Now.
If we don't get it, if we don't get it, if we don't get it,
Shut it down.
Actors and writers unite! We've got to win this fight! Actors and writers unite! We've got to win this fight! Actors and writers unite! We've got to win this fight! Actors and writers unite! We've got to win this fight!
Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and today we're talking about Hollywood on strike. And to help me do that, joining me now in the Rabbit Hole studio, he is an actor who you'll know from his many film and television appearances, and he's also a member of the SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee. So want to get right to it because we got a lot to talk about it. Welcome, Joseph Melendez.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Great to have you back, man. It's been a minute since we've been in here.
It's definitely been a minute. I just got to make one small correction to what you said, though. It's not a Hollywood strike. It's a national strike. We're not just Hollywood actors. We're all over this country, and there's locals everywhere. And we don't want to forget them because this strike is actually more for them than anybody else.
Well, I think the only reason I say Hollywood strike is because I think for most people that's what it means. When they think entertainment industry, they think Hollywood. But I know what you mean.
And I hear that.
Because you're an East Coast actor.
But that's actually why I wanted to make that distinction.
Yeah.
Because most people have this really misleading idea of how actors live and what most actors' lives are like. So that's why I wanted to make a point of saying that it's not just a Hollywood, because that gives the idea of saying Hollywood gives it the glitz of that life that isn't what we really live.
Yeah, people think Tom Cruise is on strike.
Right. Well, well, exactly.
Right. We'll get into it. We'll get into it because I did want to kind of do a deep dive. I actually said the other week on the show that I wanted to cover this. We haven't been able to cover it just because of our schedule, and I'm really glad you could take the time to come here today just because I feel like this is important and it is the story right now. Absolutely. In terms of the entertainment industry. So first let's talk about it I know there's a lot of things you can't talk about. So if you can't talk about something, just let me know. But can you just give us a general overview of the genesis of the strike and what was the shot heard around the world, so to speak?
There isn't a single shot heard around the world. That's the thing. I mean, this is something that's been going on for years. I've been on the negotiating committee for, I believe this is my fourth contract now. And we've just seen how, I've seen personally, how the producers are yearly, or not yearly, but when the contracts are up, just nickel and diming us. If we were to accept the proposals that they'd accepted, we would be making about 5% less in real dollars this year with the acceptance of their raise than we would have been in 2020. So 5% less.
And that's not even factoring in the other things like people talking about AI and
we're just talking salary right now.
Right.
If we were to accept what they offered us in real dollars, we would make 5% less than we would have in 2020. That's the genesis of this strike, because that's not happened overnight. That's happened over years and years. And as CEOs have increase the profits for their stockholders, which, hey, I own stocks. I'm all for it. I'm not against it. But
no one's saying corporations can't make money.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not. I'm not a billionaire basher. I'm not at all. They work just as hard. They work hard to make their money as well. They're basically making profits for their shareholders on our backs, and that's just not cool.
Well, first of all, the writers struck in May, and now in July, SAG-AFTRA went on strike. Now, by the time this comes out, this will probably be a few weeks into August or so. Can you talk a little bit about the impact on the industry that it's had?
Oh, that's the part that that I don't think anybody's really thinking about, because it's a horrible idea. I mean, it's going to have a terrible impact. Look at, I mean, my personal opinion. This is again no insight, and it having nothing to do. Even if I had nothing to do with the negotiating committee, I would say that this is going to be a long strike. It's going to go on for a while, and it's going to be devastating to a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of losses. We're going to lose a lot of people who are just not going to be able to stay in the industry. They're not going to be able to stay in the business, and they're going to give up their careers because they're going to have to do something else that makes them money, and that's horrible, and it's sad.
Well, that's the other thing I don't think, and I remember Fran Drescher when she came out, and that she was talking about the impact, not just the writers, but then with the actors especially. That's a lot of people. That's not just actors and writers. It's all the crew people. It's all the people who service the.
You have the service people. You have, when we were in LA for the negotiations, ironically, the hotel we were staying at, those of us who were from the East Coast, their contract ended literally the exact same day as ours, June 30th, and they went on strike. We had to move hotels because of their strike. So I mean, it's a summer of labor, which is really cool, and I think that's going to be great for us. But like all wars, I think it's going to be bloody, and that there's going to be a lot of
there's going to be casualties.
Yeah, a lot of collateral damage, and I don't know if people have realized this yet.
When the writers struck, I said, well, okay, we had a writers' strike back in 2008. Right?
Oh, yes, I remember that all too well.
The other impact, that had a big impact, and that was kind of a big rise in like reality shows and documentary stuff they didn't need writers for, supposedly.
But it was also before the rise of streaming.
Right.
So they're not going to be able to get away with just reality shows now. That's the issue. It's like people are now used to their content when they want it. And
the premium stuff, the stuff that's written by professionals and acted by professionals.
And the only one that has that at this point is Netflix.
And without going into too much of the minutia of the contract, what is the hope going forward? Like, what are you guys looking for? What are you hoping they come to the table with?
The career that I've been able to have will no longer be attainable. You will not be able to be a journeyman actor anymore. I've had the pleasure or the luck, the whatever to be able to do a bunch of network shows, and I've been lucky to have network shows that are big and earn a lot of residuals. So I get covered. My residuals are covered a lot of times through that. So I have a steady income, which is going to die out, but with the way streaming has come in and being the main vehicle for everybody to consume any kind of content now, it's not the same. I mean, you just cannot make money on it. The way the structure that they have is just, there's just no way, and there's no way to survive.
In terms of residuals, because we've heard a lot about residuals since the strike happened. What is the difference because you've worked on network shows that have been on television, right? Well, what's the difference in the check?
I'm not gonna go into specific numbers, but I'm just gonna say I've worked on shows, streaming shows that have won several Emmys, several, and I've been on network shows that have won no Emmys, but that run forever. And I've got to tell you, I've made easily 4 times what I made on that one show, that one streaming show, on any given network show. I've made at least at this point 4 times as much as I've made on that one show that's won a bunch of Emmys.
And is that the difference between like network and streaming?
Yeah, I mean, you just make nothing.
So it's a quarter. It's basically a quarter of what you made.
But the thing is also it decreases as it goes. So your first year you'll get, I think, I don't want to say any numbers because I know they won't be correct, but you'll get a percentage of your pay for the first year. The second year it drops, and the third year it drops, and by the fourth year you're making nothing. Now you're making $1. Maybe you're making getting a residual check for $1.
What was the excuse in terms of that? In terms of when AMPTP, when you're talking about, hey, why can't we just do what we used to do with network on streaming, and get some equality?
It doesn't work. I mean, they're just completely different models. Network, we're used to doing, anywhere between, what is it, like a 22 to 26 episodes in a season.
Right.
Streaming, you get maybe 10,
Right.
8 to 10, 6, 8, 10. So first of all, there you have a problem.
So you're doing half as many episodes.
Right, but then we have other options, other issues that come in, like options, which and this is again a specific issue that comes with streamers because there's no schedule the way there is with network TV. So they'll have an actor, and they'll hire me for a show. They'll air the first season, but they're not sure they want to see how the show does. So 1-2 years pass before they decide to do the second season. Now, they've picked up my option, but that doesn't mean they've paid me. I've gone the last 2 years not being paid, but not being able to get other work because
You're tied to the option.
I'm tied to this show. We have folks with doing series regulars who don't qualify for health insurance because of things like this.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about people who've been on these big shows like Orange Is the New Black or Stranger Things or something like that.
Exactly. And these are shows where people are making millions of dollars.
Like for Netflix, those are the shows that are bringing in the subscribers that they're getting year after year, and every time they launch a new season. And the writers have the same problem too. Like it used to be, if you wrote on a television show, you were on that contract for like a year or two,
well, I mean,
writing
now they've
23 episodes, and now you're brought in for a short amount of time. You write your episode out of like 8 or 10, and then it's just a gig, and then you're gone.
Right. And they don't even have a writer's room.
What have you guys proposed, and what is the hope going forward?
We know, again, not to get specific, but there's we've started working with a company that does do some of this analytics work for some of these producers, keeping track of the streamers. So they do exactly pretty much what we need them to do. So we were going to use them. We've used them to build a business model that we've laid to put in front of the producers to say, we've produced put forward a 2% revenue share model.
So
on
this
the streamers, on
revenue
subscribers,
Okay.
rather than just on views of the show. And that's going to be spread out throughout all the shows in the series. It's not just for, a specific show.
So for you guys, it's about like changing the business model slightly, not revamping the whole system, because you're not going to change the way streamers work and the way they make money.
Right. But we have to also our SAG-AFTRA health plan and the pension plan, the contributions haven't changed in 40 years, the caps. So they've done nothing for inflation. So we need to get increases in that as well. I mean, again, we've above 80% of our membership doesn't qualify for health insurance. That's just unacceptable. I mean, and it's a $26,000 point that you have to earn to qualify, and not 80%, over 80% does not. That's ridiculous.
For you right now, going forward, like you guys, and like we said, we can't go into specifics, but you guys have put deals out, and by the time this airs, I won't ask you where the negotiations are per se, but I know that this does obviously concern with actors. What do they do in the meantime? First of all, I've read lists of what they can't do. Right. Obviously, they can't take a job with any AMPTP company. Right. They can't audition for anything like that. And you guys have said that you don't even want non-SAG or SAG-eligible people to audition for those, because that would be like scabbing.
Absolutely.
So what can they do?
Audiobooks. We can do anything that's on netcode, which is soaps, game shows, animation, TV animation. You can still do. There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, if you go to
So it's not like they can't work at all.
No, not at all. That's the thing. And we also, that's a great question because that's why we've offered these interim agreements that have caused a hubbub in the last.
Talk
few
about
days.
that a little bit. Can you just explain what an interim agreement is?
An interim agreement is our last offer to the AMPTP. We require any independent producer to sign all the terms that we offered the AMPTP. So everything that's it's nothing new and nothing that they haven't. There's nothing new in it. It's exactly what our ask in our package would be. If the producer signs it, they can work. There cannot have any kind of hand from AMPTP producers, meaning there can't be no money can come in from an AMPT producer. It can't be produced. Now there have been issues, and I know that people are going to ask about this, so I want to just come out and say it. There have been a couple of shows that had distribution deals with something like Apple Plus or something like that, but that are still shooting and that got an interim agreement. Those were given interim agreements because they're being shot in different countries, and we still, regardless of what our laws are and how we want to treat it, we still have to follow the labor laws of whatever other country we're shooting in.
So if it's being shot in England or Ireland or something like that, or
Greece or Israel, let's use more countries like that. They have very different labor laws, and if our members were to walk off of a set, they could be held liable for their contract because it's considered breach of contract.
Let's say, company X, production company, they're like, hey, we want to work with SAG actors. We'll sign this agreement. We'll give you guys what you need. But their distribution deals with Paramount for the movie.
Well, here's the thing. If Paramount decides to distribute it, they take on the responsibility.
They would have to agree to this.
Exactly. That's the whole point of the interim agreement. We're not just getting you to sign it and going, all right, now you're going to pay us all this. It's like, no, if an AMPTP company decides to distribute a product that was shot under an interim agreement, they take on those rules.
Okay.
So we don't lose.
And then if, say, an actor wants to do an independent production or something like that.
That's the whole point of the IAs. That's what with the negotiating committee, when we were talking about it and we decided and we voted on it, the whole point of that was for our members who want to produce their own stuff. We're not thinking, a $3 million budget. We're going, couple of kids that have $25 and they're shooting on their camera, but they wanted to use their friend who is a SAG-AFTRA actor, so let's just sign a SPA agreement and you're fine. Those that's even smaller. But there are lots of productions that are going on that who've raised money independently, have nothing to do with any of the big studios. Even yet, they don't even have a distribution. Some of them are not even shot, so they don't have distribution deals yet. Why shouldn't they be able to continue shooting?
Right. Yeah, I think people, and I think that's where a lot of the resistance to the strike came, was like, oh God, we can't do anything. We've had this thing, we've been working in prep for 3 weeks, and but if you're a small enough production, also like if you're taking it to film festivals, as long as the film festival isn't signed with like HBO or something, you can still go to the festival, but you can't do, you can't
promote. You can't do any promotion.
Right.
But
so if the strike is still going on when New York Comic-Con hits, those actors can't show up.
They can show up as themselves. They can show up and sign autographs as the individual actor.
But they can't go the comic book movie that they're promoting.
Exactly.
Okay.
They can't. They can't. If you have you can't go and promote your Star Wars or Star Trek or Marvel film, but you can go and sign autographs as Joe Blow.
Just be you.
And promote yourself.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up here in a little bit, but there is a strike fund for actors.
Well, there's the Entertainment Community Fund, formerly known as the Actors Fund, that's there specifically for this kind of situation. If performers have had issues paying bills, they've been an incredible organization, and actually it was fantastic. Dwayne Johnson just recently made a huge donation to the Actors Fund, which is part of this as well. Some ridiculous, like 7-figure number for the striking actors.
That's great.
to help us get through
great.
this, and I think that's incredible. That makes me like the man even more than I already did.
For actors out there who want to know more, or more than detail that we can go through here, and for anybody looking to know more about the strike, is there a website or something?
www.sagaftrastrike.org. I'm going to say that again. It's www.sagaftrastrike.org. It has all kinds of FAQs. They are constantly being updated. It'll also give you information on if you're auditioned or working with a company that's applied for an interim agreement. They will have it'll show you where you can go to find the lists of the production companies that have been accepted with the IAs. So you don't take anybody's word on that. just a little bit of advice there. But yeah, it's actually been a fantastic resource, and we've been trying to stay on it constantly and update it. Yeah, and feel free to always reach out to the union and send your questions. We always do try. We try to answer them as often as we can.
And if somebody wants to hire you or follow you online, where can they find you online?
You can find me online anywhere. Just go to IMDb. You can find me there. And it'll have all my information for my reps and all. I hope there's somebody out there that wants to hire me. I work cheap. No, actually, I don't. Don't believe that.
All right. Thanks so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Very
It's
informative.
always a pleasure, man. I love being here with you.
I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole once again. Now, for more of our content, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. You can also find us on Instagram @NoRestForTheWeekend. I'd like to thank my guest, Joseph Melendez, and our sponsor, JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.